Okay, these are a few screenshots from this footage, but it just compares sizes and the size of the bird rack. This is what I like to do a lot with my footage because it kind of gives me a different outlook on um, how the atmosphere, or what I would rather say is weather conditions, cause these optical effects. And on this particular day, the horizon was very, very compressed. And I threw this in. I thought it was pretty cool because if you watch the shadows of the chemtrails or the contrails, whatever you want to call them, gives you a different outlook on those too. All right, well, I'm going to let a little audio play, and then I'm going to probably blab my mouth through the rest of it. All right, here we go.
All right. See if you can see that. Aim it downward here. That's the sea temperature, or current Pine Island sea temperature, 66 degrees. And the air temperature is 75. I hope you can see that. And today's date and time is 3:57, January 18th. Okay. I know I got a lot of reflection on there. And we got a moondog and a sun halo. Actually, two moon dogs. One there and one right over here. Look at that. That's something. Yeah, that thing's so big you can't even see to get the whole thing in there. Well, part of it's gone anyhow. And my main thing is I want to see what kind of visibility I got. So again, here I'm at the Bayport Park right here. I got my camera down real low, as you can tell.
All right, I wanted to voice over these because some of them, um, like in my first videos, I started doing until actually I think it was 2020 that I really found out about. No, it was before that. It was the later part of 2019 that I realized that I had made a mistake on the identity of one of the racks. That first one was Bill Watts, and these guys like are stuck like Chuck. Um, but this was taken from the Bayport area, and and then here's the Hernando Beach rack, and I am up on the seawall. My tripod is at about 28 inches. I'm about 4 feet up from the water because it's a low tide. So there's, and you'll see later on um, how I got the camera set, because I actually looked down the wall with the camera and then moved the camera down to the wall. But you'll see that in the video. Um, but this is what I thought was Cutter's Rock, but it's Billy Steele's. And like I say, on a day like today, I noticed that there's very heavy compression um, and some magnification. There's definitely magnification on the farther distant object more than there is on the closer ones. Like the Hernando Beach rack, it's like slightly magnified, and then like the Bill Watts, it's almost perfect. Um, and then when I compare these in sizes, for myself, I watch a video, I take a screenshot, I pull another one up from another day, I take a screenshot. Then I get all this gobbledygook on my screen, and then I forget what picture went where. So it can get confusing, but if somebody was to take a lot of my existing footage that I got out there and started doing like screenshots when a boat went past uh, the Bayport rack or by one of these other racks, they'd start really seeing the major differences in not only the actual horizon water line, because I still contend there's a lot of water that's being obscured um, through this what I want to call illuminated haze. And the haze is like fog, evaporated water. Once you start building up enough of it, it becomes like a fog or a haze, and that haze gets illuminated, so you cannot see any water beyond it, um, because eye level is up. Well, let's say eye level with that guy on the boat. Um, or this guy here on his boat, eye level. Okay, this guy's boat a little bit bigger, but I'm up probably taller than that guy in that boat. But when you're looking at the Bayport rack, because it's 3.5 miles away, eye level is actually above it, and I've proved it. People didn't like the way I proved it, but oh well. For myself, that's my evidence. People want to say, well, you're not a scientist. Well, of course I'm not a scientist, but you don't have to be a scientist to do scientific work or observational work and visual work and learning all of these different um, optical effects. I mean, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure it out. Um, there was something too that I went right past. I should have stopped on it. Wasn't sure exactly what it is, but I do want to say that I spent a little while, maybe 45 minutes, something like that, half hour at um, Bayport, and then I went over to Pine Island afterward. And because it was a low tide, I was able to get down below the water. And what a different view I got! Actually, quite a good view from a low perspective. Now here's that boat that um, you just seen. It was right by the halfway marker, and I'm gonna track it to the Bayport bird rack, and that's where I took the screenshots from it. But what's really also interesting is when it goes past the North Bayport rack. I call it the North rack, but it's and then I call the Bayport rack the Bayport rack, but it's supposed to be the Bayport entrance rack, and then the Bayport North rack is the proper names for them. But look, you can see this boat clearly in the water, but what you'll start seeing is how these waves, the farther that boat goes out, the waves in the wake of the boat starts blocking out the back of the boat. I mean, I'm a boater, so I'm in the water. I see other boats go by, and it looks like their ass end is sunk down below the water line, even at a close range. Now my angle of resolution is very, very sharp. So I'm catching all of that wake toward the ass end of his boat. So for me, I can very easily see that my visibility is actually pretty damn good. But what's really interesting is when I take my camera down to a lower point of view, you will not only see the compression, but you will see the mirroring effect, how it moves closer. So the lower your camera goes, just like if you were out on a road, right, and you had your camera out and you were picking up a little mirage at the top of a hill, and then you lowered your camera down, that mirage at the top of the hill, well, all of a sudden you wouldn't even see the top of the hill. All it would be is a mirage, and it would just be mirroring everything beyond it. So we get the same thing across the water. Some different conditions, of course, because we're looking at a total whiteout background, because it's just reflecting the sky above. As far up as you can angle that, that angle will allow you till eye level. Some of my In Search of the True Horizon, if you compare some of the footage from that with this, you'd say, well, why are the boats higher up? Well, that's because the boats are more visible. You can actually see the boat, and the water does go up higher, but everything gets compressed. Like I say, even the horizon is getting compressed. That's why on some days, I can watch a boat ride on the same water line and do nothing but get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then on other days, I can watch a boat go out and start vanishing bottom up real fast. Before it even gets to the Bayport rack, even if I'm up 6 feet, well, my tripod's all the way up at 5 feet, standing, 4 feet above the water on a low tide at Bayport, and I've done some comparisons, and wow, there is no comparison. The boat vanishes even from a higher perspective. Why? Because of that mirroring, more compression, more magnification, the stronger this evaporation rate of the water, the stronger the mirroring gets. Now look, you can still see that boat is above the water. You can still see the nose of the boat, but it's just gotten smaller, smaller and smaller and smaller. So how are you going to resolve that very edge between the boat and the water? It's everything's starting to get into that distortion line, and you'll see that distortion line in some of my other footage that I'll put up after this video. This would be part one, part one of part four. So what I want to do is do these by the day, and I had that put those particular days. Here's where I took the screenshots. I gotta say that the video looked better than the screenshot though. And there's a sign out there. That sign's only about 10 foot tall, and if you compare it to the size of the boat, well, yeah, it's about 10 foot tall. Why? Because the boat's over 10 foot tall. And then here comes the north rack. And I did take some screenshots of that, but it's only so I can compare them with another video later on. If I don't lose them somehow, sometimes I lose them. Because like I say, I am no computer whiz. Now see how the boat, it just started to just get distorted. I follow them so much, I'm kind of like not interested in following them anymore. Unless there's even better visibility and I can follow them like I did in one of the later videos that I recently put out. I showed a really tiny, very tiny boat underneath the bird rack, which is crazy, because that tiny boat should have been like way above. It shouldn't have been squashed down underneath the rack. But it was, and that's what's strange about some of my footage. Is like I say, sometimes it's compression, and then sometimes it's mirroring that actually causes this distorted water line, is what I like to call it, because it always seems to be a distorted water line. Because when I zoom in on it, at times you'll see that there's this little distortion line. And that's where I think that, or that's where I know that that's where the water and the mirroring are transitioning. It's transitioning from water to mirror. And then that mirror has this upward, like, bend to it. And that's what blocks everything out. It's almost like a liquid, or like I said, like a fog that's illuminated. And as the boat gets further and further in, that fog turns into a mirror, that evaporated water, and it turns into that mirroring effect, and basically hides the lower portions of boats, bottoms of boats, and everything. And then when you got some of those really, really clear days, but the farther distant objects look like they're below the curvature of Earth, like um, the Hudson Beach condos. I can go out there some days, put my camera at the same place, same height, and the whole bottoms of the buildings are vanished, gone, disappeared, and the buildings look like they're floating above the water. Um, and then I go out there on a very clear, visible evening and get them pretty much perfectly in the water with a few floors compressed at the bottom of the building. Very obvious what's going on, but again, you've got scientists that say, oh, that's what we call refraction. And everybody bows down to him. All the globe believers bow down because he's a scientist. He's so much smarter than we are. We got to bow down to him, and he'll pay him our homage or something to let him know he is the man. He is the man. He much smarter than we are. We just a bunch of redneck hillbillies don't know nothing. So we got to take the word of some freaking guy we don't even know, and you can't even pronounce his goddamn name because he's from some freaking goddamn weird ass country. But you can see the sign. I mean, I've been out to all of these racks. You can find my video on YouTube where I went out to all the racks. I videoed them, showed you the signs on them, telling you what they are. The North Rack, Cutter's Rock. The only one that I really didn't go to is the Chassahowiska Bird Rack. But one day I might make it out there. Put that one in my belt, under my belt too, because I got video of it. But that sign that's on there, look how big it looks. In reality, it isn't that big. That means that that whole rack is being magnified. And that whole magnification is causing the lower portion to be pushed down, and the top portion to be pushed up, and the sides to be pushed out. That's why it looks like it's getting cut off. And these are some of the other um, observations that I've been making about, seeing things that appear to be cut off but aren't. They're not cut off. It's just an optical illusion. And again, visibility proves that. And visibility proves that if Earth was a globe, um, I wouldn't be seeing what I see, especially from a 28-inch perspective, and even a 4-inch perspective of the power plant 27.6 miles away. Matter of fact, I looked at it again with a different outlook, and somebody even said something to me, but I shouldn't be able to see them at all, not at all on a globe world, and they would all them towers would have been leaning back away, and we did not see that. Um, I'm going to show you my GPS location here off my phone.
My GPS coordinates.
Okay, that was my coordinates. And of course, some of my stuff can be very boring. But you know what's funny is there's a sign to the left of the North Bayport rack, and then a sign to the right. But from the Pine Island perspective, both those signs are on the right. That would be pretty much parallax, and we don't really see that so much with the stars, as far as them having a major difference as far as when you travel from one spot to another. You don't really see what I would call parallax, um, because I think the sky is big, number one. And I think the stars are almost a mirror image of some outside frequency of light of some sort. You know, they talk about the electrical universe, which, yeah, I think the universe is electrical more than it is a vacuum of space. Um, and we don't need the vacuum of space for lightning to occur here on Earth. Matter of fact, in Florida, um, when we have these really heavy black clouds coming in, um, sometimes they are really low to the ground. And those are the ones that are going to rain on you something fierce, because they're so heavy with moisture. Like I said, they dangle real close to the ground. And I've got some videos of a storm, going over me and out into the Gulf, and that's when I got oh, one of the rainbows one time. I think I got a partial rainbow another time with the anti-crepuscular rays streaming all the way across the sky. Um, and then, of course, you do get light even hitting the clouds on the opposite side. Okay, well, to the east side, you still get the clouds lit up pretty high in comparison to where, all right, the sun goes behind all these clouds, and then it supposedly sets beyond the curvature, but yet these clouds to my east are still lit up. Well, how's that working, globe heads? How does this work too? You see that boat pass the Billy Steele's rack. Then you'll see the Hernando Beach rack. The Hernando Beach rack has that little leg that sticks out on it. That's how I know that one is that one now, because when I went out there, it's like, wow, this says Hernando Beach, not Billy Steele's. And I swear to God, when I went out there, I took pictures of it. I didn't get real close, but I swear to God it was the Billy Steele's rack, but it wasn't. Here's some natural audio.
That little concrete slab right there. I'm going down there. Hopefully I don't get wet. And it's a little bit of a drop, so I gotta be careful. set my camera right here. Probably not level, but hey, let's see if it makes a difference. Look at that. Sure did. That's why I say it causes a concave effect. And it causes things to float and vanish within that little sliver right there.
And this is what I like to do. You know, when I'm out there, is I like to do these little experiments and get down low to the water, because on other days, or actually watch when I go to Pine Island, and I'm always talking about the angle of light. So when I go to Pine Island, the angle of the sun seems to change. I mean, it really does. Because I'm thinking I'm going to have to look farther to the south, because when I'm at Bayport, I'm like turned more like southwest. And then when I get to Pine Island, it seems like I'm looking, you know, more, um, you know, west southwest, to see the sun. But I always talk about the angle of light, how it does change things. So, you know, when you're looking at these racks, here's the Bayport rack. Now I forget what rack the other one was, but it could have been. Um, it looked like it was that other rack I was filming was Hernando Beach. Now look how the birds even look like they fly up out of nowhere, and then everything is mirroring. Even the little sign to the right, you can see the mirror image underneath it. And then if you start counting the slots, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, where was I here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you don't see 6 and 7 because it's hidden in the mirror. And this is what you know, back of the boat looks like going in the canal, or in the channel here. Um, but again, these are these little markers out there they have for where they planted some seagrass that never grew, or at least it doesn't look like it ever grew. But again, you know, doing these when I get down low, and then when I compare these to another, well, you'll see later on in the next portion when I go to Pine Island. Man, I mean, I get boats that are you know, really small, not getting cut off like this at this height. Um, Actually, a little bit lower, because I'm up on these rocks a little bit higher than when I'm at Pine Island, and almost have my my camera legs in the water. And again, look at that, the chemtrails, man. That's all just chemtrails, dude. I'm telling you. You should see the one I got the other night, just recently. Oh, wow. Maybe I'll put that out. I just did time lapse because the visibility sucks so bad. Um, Again, you know, for anybody else that might watch this, think for yourself. You discern things for yourself. Make up your own mind. Thanks for watching.